Brought to you by Noah's Arcade.
Hello!
Hello, guys!
Hi, guys!
Hi, guys!
We're not saying welcome back this time.
No,
Not yet.
Not yet. In a minute, we'll say it.
Hello, Phil. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Stefan? It's
I'm
been
not-
such a long time.
It has been such a long time, hasn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 30 of Vanderhoff and Co. I'm High Definition.
And I'm Monkey Man Phil.
We've got no Anton Bain with us. He doesn't really...
When? Yeah.
Yeah, we unfortunately, our path didn't cross for Rezzed last weekend. So I just thought if we do this with just me and you, Phil.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Because it was just
Some say
basically the two of us there, wasn't it?
Some say it's lonely at the top.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And it's also lonely where we are as well.
There is that.
So yeah, we were at EGX Rezzed weekend just gone, weren't we?
We were.
What did you think of it?
It was good. We had good fun. I don't think we had that much of a break from everything. It was kind of go, 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 wasn't it, really?
Yes, very much so. Our schedule was pretty tight in places. But I think with 19 interviews altogether, I think it was very successful.
Yeah. We did all right for ourselves. to be honest.
I don't think we did too badly for a couple of guys from down south.
Down south.
Down south.
Down south.
So yeah, we're not going to really be saying much in this episode.
Well, we are, but... you're
Oh,
gonna be
yes.
saying more than me, I can guarantee that.
As usual, really, then.
Well, yeah.
But in
I don't have
terms...
much to say.
Do what? You don't know what to say?
I said I don't have much to say, mode at the best of times.
You're the strong silent type, that's what it is.
I am, yeah.
So yeah, the plan is we're just going to record some little intro bits and pieces and just talk about the interviews, which will be this episode, really. We've got 4 coming up, which I think is good selection. And the first one we've got is This Is the Police.
This is the police. This is definitely mainly you talking, because I remember playing this game.
Yes, you were playing whilst we were talking, weren't you?
Yeah, because I hadn't played it, and the interview was exactly the same time that I was playing it.
Yeah.
I was like, sorry, but I'm going to play it just so I know a little bit more about it.
No, because we've been sent this to review. It's already out, but I'm still working my way through playing enough in order to review it. But what did you think?
I really, really enjoyed it. I'm looking at buying it myself, to be honest.
It's really good, isn't it?
It is very, very good.
And yeah, it's like kind of it's a police simulator as such.
Yeah.
But there is a story in there as well. And yeah, we were lucky enough to catch up with Florian from that's his name, yeah, from THQ Nordic. And he talked to us about the game.
He did.
He did.
So get ready.
Get ready, it's coming in your ears right now.
Guys down on the show floor.
Okay, ready guys? We'll hand you over now. Okay folks, we are back again, and this time we're joined again by Florian from THQ Nordic. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, pleasure.
This time we are talking about This Is the Police. Well, what better than what is this? I've been playing it myself. Phil's just playing it at the moment. That's what he's just tucked down. Hello, Phil.
Hello.
Hello. Phil's just playing at the moment. So, if you could tell us, what is This Is the Police, please?
Sure, it's amazing.
It is amazing,
Okay,
yeah.
there we go. I don't know more. So, This Is the Police is hard to put into a certain genre, honestly. It's you are just taking over the role of an old police chief, Jack Boyd, who is the chief of Freeburg Police, a U.S. fantasy city. It doesn't exist. Maybe there's a Freeburg, but we didn't refer to that one if there is one. And you're getting a letter from the mayor telling you, Jack, you're being fired. You have 180 days left to work, and then please just go away. And you think, okay, I've been a good cop all my life. I never was a corrupt guy. I was always honest. I tried to protect the weak. I did as best as I could. And that's it now? That you just fire me to put some random asshole nephew of the mayor in my place? No way. Fuck that shit. I will make my fortune before I leave this office, so my goal is now to get $500,000 before I get out here. As you can imagine, as an old police chief, you won't earn $500,000 in just 180 days in a regular way. So the thing is, you need to get kind of corrupt. And it totally is up to the player on how far you will go. I mean, it's a tough game. It will confront you with tough decisions. The whole gameplay is kind of a management game where you're managing your police officers. You will get different emergency calls.
Yep.
Like, oh no, there's a bank robbery going on, what shall we do? And you can send over a bunch of policemen, maybe a SWAT team, and to deal with that situation. And all the time you will also get like moral things coming up, like your, for example, your former deputy comes on, hey, Jack, I've been in trouble with the mafia and they are want to kill my family, can you help me? You say, what, you have dealing with the mafia? Good luck, man. And then you will get a photo with his head cut off and so on. So it's a really harsh game, as I mentioned. It's not for children, definitely.
No.
A lot of swearing in it, and a lot of sexism and brutality as well. Sure.
Yeah. It's you say it's not the easiest game by a long shot. When I first started, I thought, oh, it's a police management sim, and you're getting the background of the short for the job, police chief, and then you're given the sending out people on their day-to-day, sending out your officers on their day-to-day. Over my playthrough, I picked up a SWAT van. No, not a SWAT van, paddy wagon. And you've got your SWAT team that you can send out to tasks. I couldn't work out if the game was hard or if I just wasn't very good at it. Because I'm sending out members of my team and they're getting killed. And then I'm able to keep their bodies from the paperwork going through, so I can still make some money from that. There's lots of different elements I can see in order to make money. I've seen you can get cocaine from different things, and you can choose to take that into evidence. Or you can have it sold, have the mafia sell it for you. What other bits and pieces are we going to see in order to boost our bank balance?
Well, there are many kind of these days. You're interacting with the mafia at first, and there will be a mafia war between two rivalizing companies.
Yeah.
Like you know, more like the Godfather style guy, like the family, the mafia, and this crazy Russian dude, who was just really brutal and beats everybody up, and they are going to go fight, and you can take part in that. And you will deal with the labor union, you will deal with the church, you will deal with the mayor, you will later deal with a big international company, like a concern, is that the word? No. You know what I mean? Mega
yes,
company.
Yeah.
Like this. Whatever. And those are they always give you kind of missions or put you in some moral dilemma, and then you have to decide if you want to make much of money by making a lot of people sad or even killed or something.
Yeah.
And so there are many ways. And the whole simulation aspect or the management aspect, we're just taking this as part of the narrative. It simulates like you have to make something, but still you're in your daily routine.
Yeah.
You have to take with all the, oh God, Officer JNC didn't show up to service today. So it's like, what? Yeah, okay, because his mother was ill or something, or you just want to spend a day in the park with his dog.
Yeah.
And then you have to make those small decisions. You have to keep your officers happy in order to make them work good. And you have to look if they are, for example, showing up drunk at work. I mean, they are police officers, they have a lot of stress, so they drink. Yeah. And if they are drunk at work, you should not send them to a crime scene, because this gets them killed much more likely. So, and of course, it depends a little bit on luck. You have to if your situation comes up, you have to feel how many police officers you need, how good they have to be. I mean, they all come with certain numbers. They have just a number of professionalism with them. It's just one number, like 350 or something. And you have to think, okay, this mission is like a bank robbery with terrorists. We might need the best guys we have and all of them.
Yeah,
so you send them. But in the same time, if you send your best officers away, and there comes another situation at the same time, you can't send them to the second one because they are still trying to solve the mystery of the robbery or to this hostage situation, for example. So it's more like a gut feel, like everything, like in real life. I mean, a police chief can't just check the numbers and say, okay, we need 26 officers to solve this situation, and they need 12 guns. No problem, yeah? No one can do that. So this is how we want to handle the management system. It's not like a regular management simulation where you just check numbers and say, okay, that's going to work, and here you have to feel it.
That's because as well as sending them out, because what we've got Phil doing here is there's been a homicide, and so you have to assign detectives to investigate. And over the time, the detectives piece together clues depending on their stats. But then once you've got the investigations underway, you can also go into investigating gangs, am I right? Yes. And bringing down gangs within Freiburg?
Exactly. There are many different gangs in Freiburg showing up from time to time. And you can investigate against the lower ranking members at first. And then you can choose. Either you will arrest them, or you will set them free and gather information about the superiors. And so you can maybe get to the head of the gang, and then you can completely get rid of the whole gang in one big strike. So this is like the short-term reward compared to the long-term reward. These investigations are like the second layer. So you have the emergency code, so you send the regular officers to, and then all the investigations popping up, like a homicide where you send the detectives, and then they gather the clues over time. And you have like a little mini game where you put fragments of pictures in a certain order, and then you got it.
Now the main story that is in there centers around Jack, the chief of police, or the remaining chief of police for his last few days. Now, he's actually voiced by Johnson John, the voice of Duke Nukem.
Right.
How does something like that come about?
Well, the development studios are guys from Belarus, and they are big fans of Johnson John. They reached out to him, and as he is just a normal voice actor that you can ask to cooperate, he did. We also have the voice of Serious Sam, who is acting the mayor.
Okay.
I think it's John J. Dick, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the name.
Yes.
Right, so the voicing gives a good feeling. I mean, the voice of Duke Nukem is really something that every player knows, I guess, by this time, and it really fits to this grumpy old police chief. Yeah, this is a perfect thing to have. So it was good to have Johnson John working on that. It was really a pleasure.
Yeah, it certainly brings an extra amount of life to the characters, and in fact, all of the characters in the title are all really well voiced. And the one thing, the vision. I mean, we do have the audio and the music as well. You've got lots of little licensed tunes as well. So each time you start your day, you're picking a vinyl to stick onto your record player. And then you've got a catalogue that you can actually buy more music as you go through. But then in my playthrough, it also mentioned that helping certain people, you'll unlock, they'll gift you things like that.
Yes, this is just a minor part of the game, obviously. It's just the background music that you have every day. But yeah, you have like tasks that can give you at the end a reward of a vinyl. So, yeah. That is a cool, like you can choose, like if you're listening to this classical music like Brahms, Mozart, every day, like, or you have like a jazz kind of style more. There's many different music versions, but they all fit to an old police chief, you know, from like the 80 kind of scenario. Yeah. So you don't expect like hard metal or no. I don't know, electro pop, whatever.
But it works well with the because you'll get your standard simulation games will have like generic music in the background, but it actually just adds that extra little bit of life to the title that you have these licensed tunes, and it's almost as if, yes, you are Jack listening to his music whilst he's issuing his orders. But it's not just the audio that's great. The visual is very crisp. and works quite well because this is was originally PC, wasn't it?
Yes.
And it's just come to consoles, and the transition between the two, you would have actually have thought that this title had been developed for the console systems, because it works that well, and it's very intuitive. Once you get, I mean, occasionally I'm pressing the wrong buttons, not quite coming out of one menu to go into another. But that's my problem. That's not me. But the audio itself, it all works together really well, and the visuals are very crisp, and you've got this almost kind of another world, the game, another world. That kind of cartoony, kind of hyper realistic kind of a thing about it. Was that always the style that they were going for with this title? Kind of simplistic, but
yes,
it's very effective in what it does.
Exactly. I mean, they were looking for a good way to present it. I mean, it works all together quite well, as you said. The audio and the visuals, they are kind of one thing, just mixed together, which I think works pretty well for the title. I'm not sure if they had like the Another World game in their mind, to be honest.
That's just what came to my mind in terms of what I felt it reminded me of, especially with the short scenes that you get, the static images with the audio over the top. It's all very reminiscent of classic adventure games, and adds to the atmosphere and adds to the story that you get. So you've got Phil. I'd just sack Officer Roy, because she is
for like old people. There's an old man trying to set fire to himself, so I used her to go down and tell him to stop setting fire to himself.
and that worked out all right, was it?
Fine. He ran away, but it worked out all right.
So this is The Police. It came out last week, I believe. So it's on. I mean, I know I've got it on PS4. You've got the PS4 case there. Is it? It's on other. Is it on Xbox as well?
Yeah. And it was out on March 22nd for Xbox and PlayStation 4, and then August 1st or 3rd, 2016 for PC. I'm not really sure. PC, Mac, Linux, if you want. And yeah.
Is there any? Are we looking at the possibility of any expansions or anything in the pipeline for?
So the story of Jack is basically done, so there won't be an expansion, no DLC, nothing like that. And we cannot really talk about future plans yet.
Okay.
So the thing is that THQ Nordic has now acquired the license, the IP from the original developers, but they are still on board, and we are developing. We have actually 2 projects with those guys at the moment. One is absolutely nothing at all to do with This Is the Police, but I can't talk about it. That's all. And the other one, well, let's see.
Fantastic. Well, I recommend everyone go and check out this title. Florian, thank you for your time.
Thanks. It was a pleasure.
We're back. That was welcome back, folks.
This is real Stefan and Phil.
This is real Stefan and Phil.
This isn't past Stefan and Phil.
No.
Like, we're in real time. Okay, maybe it not be real time right now when you're listening to it, but like it's real time.
But no, we actually I really enjoyed chatting to Florian, and from what I can remember, there's actually bad language in that interview, so I'm going to have to
Was that me?
No, that was actually Florian himself.
Oh.
But
Florian, you Flory bastard.
Yes. We actually have another interview with him, but that will be coming at a later date.
It will do.
Yes.
For another game.
That is for another game. So yeah, the next interview we've got coming up. Oh my god, I fangirled big style on this one.
Which one is it?
Snake Pass.
Oh, you fangirled and a half. I've never seen you fangirl that much in my life.
Well, it wasn't the fact that it was fine to begin with until after the interview when we were introduced to.
Oh, Egan. Is it Egan or Ed? I think it's Ed.
I can't think of what the guy's name is now.
I think it's Ed. It's either Ed or Egan, the guy that created it, right? The one that came up with the rope idea. Whoosh!
But wasn't that? I'm sure that was. I'm googling a sec because I'm pretty sure it was. No, definitely wasn't him. But it was one of the. It was one of the main guys. Yeah. And I was like, what? Okay. Hello. And yeah, that kind of.
Fangirl.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not in on this particular interview. Unfortunately, because he was amazing to chat to.
Yeah, he is awesome.
Yes.
Good.
But who we did speak to was David Dino from Sumo Digital, and he was nice enough to chat to us about Snake Pass, which we both got to play.
Yep, and I now officially own.
Oh, you bought it, did you?
I did buy it. As soon as I got home, I bought it.
Nice. I haven't, because I was playing Doom and my gaming headphones are broken.
Oh.
So I'm waiting for a replacement pair to turn up. Plus, I have lots of other games that I need to play.
Yeah, I've just added it to the list, unfortunately.
But, oh my god, we enjoyed the hell out of this.
We did.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is David Dino and ourselves.
Snake
Pass.
I was trying to think of the whole thing from not Jurassic Park, Jungle Book, but I can't remember anything from Jungle Book.
No, it's been a while since... You're talking the original animated one?
Yeah, I did watch the other one recently, but I can't think of the song.
Fair enough. Well, let's hand over to our past selves down on the show floor.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. We're talking to our future selves who are recording handing over to us on the show floor.
Okay.
So we're
Interesting.
yeah, it's we're kind of a meta kind of a thing that we think is funny. So
I liked it. I laughed.
good. Yeah. Are you laughing with or laughing at?
Depends.
Well, thank you for joining us. We have another guest for us today. Sir, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, please.
Sure. I am David Dino. I am a designer and PR analyst at Sumo Digital, working on Snake Pass.
Thanks again for joining us. We have been playing Snake Pass.
We've been slithering our way through
We have been slithering our way through it. Now, for anyone that hasn't heard of it, which, to be honest, at this particular point, I would be shocked. It's been getting a lot of press, and for good reason. But for the uninitiated, those
who are still behind boxes and
under rocks,
stuff like that.
if you could sum up Snake Pass for us, please.
Sure. So Snake Pass is a 3D physics-based puzzle platformer where you control Noodle the snake and Doodle the hummingbird. It's all about thinking like a snake because the mechanics themselves are actually mimicking how a snake's musculature actually works. So when I say think like a snake, literally think like a snake, because if you've seen it on the Discovery Channel, you'll probably want to apply it to how you play this game here. It's harkening back to the old N64 PlayStation 1 platformers where we give you a goal and you get it, so on and so forth. But because this platformer doesn't allow you to jump, like snakes don't generally jump anyway, it's all about figuring out how to do that, and that's where the puzzle aspect comes in. It's a very unique way of playing. It's nothing like the old Nokia games or anything else like that.
So it's not anything. It's not a spiritual sequel to Snake on the old mobile.
You take it to the Switch and maybe do it vertically.
You're not funded
sure,
by Nokia by any chance?
No. Not at all.
No association. So the as you say, it's 3D physics-based platformer. Where did the idea come about for Noodle and Snake Pass?
Yeah, definitely. So it came from an internal game jam that we had in October 2015, and the creator, who's also a designer at Sumo Digital, Seb Lees, he was actually learning Unreal for a project that we put him on. And he was trying to figure out how splines work, so he created a rope, an interactive rope, where characters can run into it, see what it looks like, so on and so forth. But for some reason, that rope disconnected from the ceiling, fell into a really interesting pattern, and he was like, what if I can control this rope and turn it into a character? Worked on that a little bit, let's make it into a snake. worked on that a little bit. The game jam happened to fall in line with his, crazy accident idea. Took it to the game jam, won the game jam, and we took it into a concept phase for about 4 months, where we actually took it to EGX Rezzed last year to get an idea of how people would really take onto the controls. They got really good reception there. The bosses were like, okay, let's greenlight the sucker. And a year later, we've launched, and we're back at EGX Rezzed as well. So we're back here full circle, just kind of like the Robros snake thingy.
Well, I did see you here last year at EGX, but I didn't have my. Well, I think I did have the mic actually, but I think I was dead at one stage.
You were a bit ill last year,
I was just like, oh. And that's because I was having to travel every day as well, which didn't make things easy.
So I'm guessing you started on you had the whole snake idea, started to build on that. I'm guessing the inspiration from the 3D platformers of old, is that something that the team grew up playing, or is that you thought, did that happen naturally in bringing this kind of feel of the game?
Right. So initially,
if you take those words together and form them into a coherent question.
So I'm going to give you a good answer because I know what you're talking about.
Awesome.
Yeah. So the way the game actually just came all together is, it initially started as a very realistic snake. And that realistic snake kind of creeped people out. So the design team kind of took it back and were thinking to themselves, okay, well, what do we need to do to make this a bit more palatable for everybody? Let's make it friendly. Let's, go back to the old mascot platformers of yore, like Banjo-Kazooie and that type of stuff, which, excuse me, there was a lot of inspiration from Rare games. And in fact, speaking of Rare stuff, we have David Wise doing the soundtrack as well. So trying to hit all the nostalgia bombs, just punch you right in the kidney for all that. It was very interesting to see it morph like that, art style wise, in terms of gameplay as well, because it's a brand new way of doing it and there's no jumping involved. The team in the concept phase initially looked at a lot of verticality. So there's going to be a lot of things that you're climbing consistently, but if you fell down, what's going to happen? Does that mean the players have to go all the way back up and feel punished for doing something like that? And how do more escalating levels in terms of difficulty become, if we're thinking in that kind of mind frame? So when we had our concept artist just give us some kind of art to put everything together, he actually took the floors away. And he made floating islands. So having that made it a lot easier for the team to start figuring out, okay, now we can build the world, still have that verticality, but not necessarily have that punishment of them falling to the ground. They just, restart and continue on from a particular point. And that's helped the game design, and from all the other games that we've played as well, just morph into what Snake Pass is nowadays. Yeah.
So, the visuals themselves look gorgeous. It wears its inspiration on its sleeve.
Yes.
But it has its own unique and visual style to it. You mentioned David Wise coming on as the composer of the music for it. Has he brought... Now, because from the demo, I couldn't quite hear any of that, sadly.
Yeah.
And I'm yet to buy the game myself.
But you will, right?
But,
of course, excellent. Yeah.
Having played... The thing is, I've had a taster of it now.
Yeah.
I want more.
Yes, that's good.
So, and hopefully that will come across to everyone who plays this. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so David Wise coming on, doing the music, was that something that you guys were looking at doing originally, or was it just an idea? And has he brought his own special kind of, because we all know we're talking Donkey Kong Country, all the kind of the classic
Rare
the classic Rare tunes. Is that something that you feel he's brought to this, and was it an idea that you had from the beginning?
So interestingly, it was kind of a pipe dream for Seb in a way. He's loved David Wise soundtracks. When he was working on Little Big Planet with me, as he was making levels and stuff, he would be listening to the David Wise soundtracks of Donkey Kong Country, all those different games as well, Snake Rattle and Roll, the whole night. So I've always wanted to have a game with David Wise in it. Aesthetically, it looked like that type of game to me. So he asked, let's see what happens, you never know. And the audio guys came back. He said yes. So David Wise came in. He really enjoyed everything in terms of the gameplay, how it looked, so on and so forth, what we were trying to do with it. And he said, this is a game that I would definitely play myself. So everything, again, organically just came together. Listening to the music, you can tell that it's really inspired too, and it fits the gameplay so well. It's very relaxing, but it fits the mood. Yeah. Right. So, for example, you have when you listen to it in the first area, we have 4 different realms: Earth, Fire, Wind, and Water. Earth is very calm-natured because nothing too crazy is happening. But when you get to like the fire stuff, it becomes a bit more foreboding, but it's not too much, and it still fits the speed of the gameplay and everything as well too. So it's just on point.
So you mentioned the 4 realms, 5 realms? 4 realms.
Yeah.
That obviously plays into Noodle's story and his adventure. What is Noodle's story, and why does he have a little bird buddy?
Yes, so we just want people to make up their own stories about it. No, I'm just kidding. We've seen some really crazy stuff on like Twitter and Reddit coming up, like what is the story of Snake Pass? But the actual story of Snake Pass is every year they have all the snakes on Snake Pass happen to have a migration party. They get to the top of Snake Pass and they have like this huge party doing what snakes do. I don't know, whatever. Noodle and Doodle, they ended up missing the migration because they woke up late. Noodle's pretty lackadaisical and everything like that, so super lazy guy. So Doodle, being the hyperactive bird that he is, like, come on, let's go. We need to get to the first gate because these gates connect all the different realms. Okay. All right, and they're powered by these magical keystones. When they get to the first gate, the keystones have been removed. So they're like, what's going on here? So it's up to them to put them all together, put them back into the different gates, kind of set everything right in Snake Pass because it's what powers the entire area, and figure out what the mystery is behind the removal of all those keystones.
Okay, so there's some underlying which is up to the player to discover.
Indeed,
as they make their way through the worlds. Yeah. So we've got the as you're playing through, the one thing that we were chatting about whilst Phil was playing was the controls, and you said that I'd picked it up and I'd kind of just ran with how it played, and that's because I felt it was very natural.
Right.
Once you knew what the controls were, you kind of, and you, as you said, think like a snake.
Yes.
You're wrapping yourself around elements of the scenery and able to traverse because of that. Now, in order to get that to work, because it seems to work perfectly, for want of a better phrase, I can't help but think for that to have worked or to be working so well, it had to have been a complete pain in the arse to get it to where it is.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't think anybody's going to really doubt that. Thanks to the code and design team for really putting in the work to make sure that it's as accurate as can be, but still be very gamified as well. So the game itself, Noodle itself, is actually built out of 35 independent collision spheres, and they're all connected by physics colliders. It's not a rig at all. So if we ever wanted to take him out and model him, now easy. It falls to the physics of Unreal Engine. But the cool thing is that those collision spheres are running their own independent calculations based off of what they're touching, what they're not touching, and what the other ones are doing to create the proper amount of force that replicates how a muscle actually expands and contracts. So you get every little bit of curvature that you get from going over the ground to you doing it yourself by moving your head back and forth. That's all being calculated and giving a somewhat of a precise measure of force to work exactly like a snake muscle would.
So we've got, I'm guessing the part of the demo here is the very first, the opening segment of it. You've got the bamboo bits and pieces that we find ourselves climbing. I can see a guide climbing a windmill.
Yes.
There was a slide that I was able to go down. What other? Because you say there's fire area. There's a
water.
So each is based on an element.
Yes, that's correct.
So I'm guessing we have various different materials and bits and pieces that we can find ourselves climbing.
Yeah, I mean it's similar to the Mario Brothers series or any like major platforming series. You have your particular worlds and they have their own environmental hazards. In this game, you can look at the bamboo as the platforms if you want to look at it that way. And then there are also special things. It's for like a water level, for example. You just dive in the water. It kind of feels very different because it releases you from the gravity that you're fighting as well. So it's almost like weightlessness. And because we didn't give the player a limited amount of breath, it feels really nice. It's just a brand new feeling. And then
so he can, Doodle can literally go. Doodle's the bird.
Yes.
Noodle can literally go underwater, stay underwater.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
And like most underwater levels, you feel like you're threatened by something, either by the breath or by something following you, and it's a brand new, different way to control it. It is a brand new way to control Noodle, but you can take your time, and that's the cool thing about this game. You can really play at your own pace. There are no enemies at all. Actually, it's all about interacting and figuring out how to maneuver around the environmental hazards that we throw at you.
Yeah. So obviously, no combat. Or do we have there?
No.
It's all puzzles.
Yes.
Finding your traversal. Okay. And I'm guessing you meet other snakes along the way. There are.
We'll leave that for you to find out.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It's all a matter of our own discovery.
Indeed.
So if we were wanting to discover the title, what platforms are we going to find it on?
So we're going to find it on all major platforms that are currently released right now, at least the big ones anyway. So we have Xbox One, PlayStation 4, PC, Windows 10, and Nintendo Switch as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because release was last week.
Oh, no, last Wednesday.
Wednesday.
The 29th. Yeah, 29th of March. So just a couple days ago.
And the reviews... They've been amazing.
They've been very positive, so that's awesome.
It's because it kind of cropped up onto our radar because we were looking for booking time with various people, hoping to get a chat, and Snake Pass was on our radar.
Nice.
And then I was like, oh, it releases 29th.
Yeah.
And then we're like, hang on a minute. And suddenly there was press, and it was everywhere.
Yeah. Very good problem to have.
Yeah. I liked the look of it. Everyone who we've been following on our various social media accounts and stuff has been screaming about it. And now I've had my chance to actually play on it myself.
Yeah.
I think it's a must-buy.
Yeah,
for me personally. I'm going to
go and buy it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm going to hook up onto the Wi-Fi, update my Switch in a minute.
And it's only £15.99 as well. So
it's
not breaking banks over here.
So, regardless of, I'd quite happily pay full price. It has the look of a.
That is full price, $15.99.
Yeah.
But sorry, I'm talking
Yeah.
AAA title full price. Because it just has that feel and shine about it.
Nothing's stopping you from paying us full price. I'm just kidding.
I could buy multiple copies and give them to my friends, and then make them buy more copies.
Indeed.
And I've completely forgotten the point that I was going for.
So we were talking about the AAA scene and everything like that, I suppose. I don't know what other thread you
No, I can't. I lost my trail of thought. It has been a long day.
But considering we are at the Unreal booth right now, it's been a testament to the power of the Unreal Engine to get the game running and being very scalable between all these different platforms. We're able to get out so soon within the Switch launch window as well. It's a beautiful game, and the cool thing is when you see Unreal games, they're kind of like they're known for their photorealism and everything, but it's awesome to see the plethora of games that are using Unreal, kind of like this one, in a very different manner in terms of art style. So
Yeah.
it's great to be able to be part of that and kind of also be a showcase for other indie developers as well in using Unreal. And at the same time, helping out developers who want to work on the Nintendo Switch with Unreal. Be like, look, it can be done.
Yeah.
It can definitely be done.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, I can't sing its praises enough. My time with it, though it was short, has me sold. And
I'm just going to run home now and go and buy it.
Yeah. And we really appreciate you taking your time to chat to us. So
Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you for talking.
good luck with Snake Pass and the rest of your weekend. Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
I think you're already there. Boom.
Boom.
Trust
Okay.
in me, just in me. Shut your eyes and trust in me. You can sleep safe and sound, knowing I am around. Slip into silence, somber sailing on a silver mist. Yeah, that's the song.
Is that the Jungle Book song, is it?
Jungle Book song. Yeah, trust in me. I found it.
Well done, Phil.
Yeah, there's more to it, but I can't speak like it.
Can't speak like it's Nick. But yeah, I don't think any of us really want that.
No.
No.
Knowing how good I am at voices.
But yeah, that was us chatting to David Dino, Sumo Digital, and I went and looked up, and it was Seb that joined us afterwards, who is actually the creator of Snake Pass.
Didn't get him on the interview, but
No, but we got a cool picture with him.
Yeah.
So
check our Twitter out.
yeah, it's on our Twitter.
Give us a like.
Yeah, like
You like
that
that.
shit.
Like that shit.
So yeah, I fangirled. Oh.
You did. I don't think that was the first time you fangirled. I think there was another time you fangirled before.
No, I think that was the beginning of my fangirling.
I think your fangirling was on the first day.
What, talking to the dude from Double Fine?
No, it was
Or are you
just at the end.
Or are you talking about the girl from the Dangerous Kitchen in Demambo?
I'm talking about near the end of the day on the first day when we were walking past Ukulele.
Oh, and I saw David Wise,
Yeah, you saw David Wise,
and I was like, oh my god, it's David Wise!
and I felt like an adult going, "Would you want to go back and have an interview?"
No, well, it wasn't it. I would never have managed an interview with him. Plus, I mean, it was closing time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was getting to that time of the day.
But I did. He was in the middle of talking, and I did want to go over and be like, oh, David Wise, and just shake his hand. But
And then never wash your hand again.
and then never wash my hand again. But no, sadly it wasn't to be. But yeah, David Wise did all the music for Snake Pass.
He did.
Is it
He's done
good?
A lot of music for different games.
He has done lots of music for lots of games. But yeah, we have another interview
We do.
that I got on the Saturday when you weren't there.
Yeah.
For reasons we won't go into.
No. So
But-
it's a long way.
Yes.
Bournemouth to London is a long way.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Was it so? Were you being tortured by drum and bass for the whole journey?
I was.
Oh man, that's
I
awful.
didn't even get to close my eyes.
Could you not have said something?
I didn't have the energy. That's the problem.
Mate, that's
I know
awful.
when I have the energy, I'm more than willing to say something, but I just literally had no energy. So I thought I'd post it on Twitter.
Yeah. Oh mate, that sucks.
It does a little bit, but
Because Saturday was kind of boring on my lonesome.
oh,
So I mean, the whole reason I picked up some extra interviews is we did only have the one scheduled for Saturday, but I thought, if I'm gonna be here on my own, I may as well play some games that I like the look of, and then just chat to the guys and see if they're happy to interview.
yeah.
One title that took my eye is Pawarumi, which is an old school like bullet hell shooter.
Oh, okay.
In the style of Ikaruga and all of the like Dreamcast kind of era shooters.
Yep.
And I was lucky enough to get to chat to Alex, one of the development guys, about the title. and I really enjoyed it. Because they've since sent us through the demo build.
We need to jump on that.
Yes, but I found myself I did better in the playing it at EGX than I did earlier on today at home.
It's probably because you had people watching you and you were worried that you were going to do bad, so you were
maybe
a little more focused in a sense.
I think I've been more tired today than I actually was on the Saturday.
It's a long trip from London to Bournemouth.
Yes.
Coach or train. It's like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's not much fun. But yes, Pawarumi. This is an interview with Alex. I urge you all to check it out because their Kickstarter is currently going at this particular moment. Now, the Kickstarter is not for money to complete the game, because the game is basically finished. The Kickstarter is to add extra bells and whistles and polish and all of that
stuff.
So you need to check it out it's kickstarter.pawarumi.com. Pawarumi is spelled Pawarumi. Are you typing that in?
I was trying to, yeah.
Go, Phil, go! So yes, kickstarter.pawarumi.com. Go and check them out. Go and pledge. I for one, really enjoyed my time with the game. Yeah, so here's the interview right now.
Jump on it.
Welcome back, folks. It is still Saturday. We are getting towards the dying embers of EGX Rezzed, and we have another guest with us. Sir, thank you for joining us. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
So, hi, I'm Alex. I'm a creative director on Pawarumi. It's a shoot 'em up, and it's made in France. And yeah, basically it's a shoot 'em up, very arcade spirit. And we're just making a tribute to our teenagehood.
It caught my eye as I went past, and I thought that looks a very cool game. It's got some quite unique visuals to it. Can you tell us about that particular style that you've...
So basically, we didn't want to make just another shoot 'em up with, let's say, Japanese Lolita or World War II settings. So we check out the shoot 'em up landscape and and the video game landscape in general. And the South American culture is very underexploited in the Western world. So we decided to go with it, but it wasn't enough. And we mixed it with the pop culture influence from the 90s, which create a funky retro-futuristic world that is very very cool for a shoot 'em up. Maybe it wouldn't suit any other games, but for a shoot 'em up it fits very well. So
now it's got... we were chatting whilst we were watching somebody completely obliterate the high score that they put mine to shame, but we won't go into that. And there's 3 color attacks, and they're all themed around animals. Am I right?
Yes. So because we are based on the South American culture, the gods there are several gods in their culture. So we made ours. So basically there is the snake god, the condor god, and the jaguar god. They are all associated with 3 colors, which is at the core of the Pawarumi's gameplay. So the players can wield these 3 energies. So there is the blue one, the red one, and the green one. So all associated to divinities. And enemies in front of you are associated to one of them divinities. So depending on which color you're going to use on which enemy, you're going to trigger different effects, whether it be charging your super attack, healing yourself, or doing double damage. So,
and as I was playing through, I got my ass handed to me. It was, very difficult. But I found it quite easy to pick up once I worked out you had the one attack for blue for red, red for green, and so on and so forth. And then as you go through, you can charge up. If you shoot the opposing colours, it builds up your special meter. And then if you shoot the same colours, that recharges your shields. which I thought was a really cool mechanic. So you're not punished. It's utilizing
all the aspects. Basically, like the core mechanic, the core basic principle of Pawarumi is the famous game design principle of rock, paper, scissors. Everybody know it since childhood, so it's quite intuitive actually. But we are utilizing all the combination that a Trinity system like this can create. So there is nothing punitive about it because every combination is a good thing for you. So that's why it's quite easy to pick up. You can really use any combination of color to play the game. But the more you play, the more you understand the subtlety of the gameplay, and the more you can be strategical about how you want to beat the game. And if you're really into it, how you want to reach the top of the leaderboards.
So you said when we were chatting just now, you said it was a lot of Mayan influence, but that also plays into the kind of the story as well as the design of the enemies and the various crafts there are.
Yeah. So basically, our story is based on the fact that the Mayan civilization were never invaded by the Spanish. So because of that, the Mayan civilization flourished until they became the main civilization on the planet. So they developed, and as every big civilization, there is a point where it has to go down. And the players plays as Axo, the pilot of the ship. Basically, you're there to destroy humanity. But maybe there is a twist somewhere. I don't want to reveal too much, but yeah, it's not that simple. Like the players is going to learn why he does that, and he's going to face the regret of maybe why.
So the stage that I played through didn't quite get the boss saw us outside, traversing some quite expansive landscapes. And then the next level that I saw the guy before me get to was the temple.
Yeah.
How many more levels do we see featured in Pawarumi?
So right now at Rezzed we have 3 levels with 3 levels of difficulty. In the final game we will have 5. So it may not sound that much in 2017. The thing is, like, we didn't want any like procedural content or making a lot of content that didn't have a soul. So we wanted to have like 5 very unique, very tightly crafted level with a lot of replay value, with secrets to unlock. If you do well in a sequence, you might unlock other enemy later, so you can improve your score. And there is plenty of things to discover in the game and to replay and replay and replay.
So you said earlier that it's tribute almost to your teenage days. You mentioned the Dreamcast. Was that your console of choice as you were growing up, and were shooters the main thing that you?
When I started video games, I started with Dune on PC, but my cousin actually had a Dreamcast and he gave it to me, and I played a lot of Ikaruga, and other members of my team are really fond of shoot 'em up since like many years now. I don't want to count, but yeah, the Dreamcast is really one of our main inspiration. It's really one of the greatest console ever made. So it deserves the tribute, and I hope we are honoring it, really.
Definitely. It does have that old school feel to it, whilst also having a lot of new ideas about it. So you mentioned just now when we were chatting previously, we brought a lot of stuff up, and I wish we'd have been recording at that point. But you mentioned you've got a Kickstarter that just went live on Monday. So if you can tell us a little bit about that.
So basically, we started our Kickstarter on Monday. We are already 30% in, which is quite alright. We hope we will stay that way. So we are asking for extra funding to make the game better and not just to make the game. Like the game is made with our own money, and we are sure to release it, Kickstarter successful or not. But with extra funding from the players, we can make the game better, add cutscene to develop a bit more the story, a little bit like the loading screen, The Witcher 3. And we're gonna add game modes as well. Basically, it's gonna be much more comfortable for us to finish the development of the game. And the first pledge is at €15, which is almost like 10 quids for you guys, or something like that. And we have a collector edition with boxes and 3D print of the ship and this kind of stuff. So it's kind of fun, and we try to keep it very pretty fair prices. So we want to stay fair to the players.
So not that high a target. Do we have any stretched goals? Is there anything?
So there might be stretch goal if we reach the goal quite soon enough. The thing is, we didn't put any yet because we want to keep in control of the Kickstarter. If we reach the goal quite fast, there might be stretch goal for maybe a co-op mode or maybe port on several consoles, but I won't say more because there is nothing certain yet. So
I can't help but feel that it would be a really good fit for consoles. It's you don't see enough games of that style and caliber at the moment, and I think it's about due for a comeback, a decent comeback. But it looks so polished, and it's hard to believe that this is your guys' first game.
yeah.
But you said you all have history in previous titles and such.
Yeah, so it's our first game as indie developers, in fact. But we've been working, like the three of us, we've been working in the industry for 7 to 10 years. In studio like Ubisoft on games like Assassin's Creed, or in more indie studio on different IPs. And more recently, we worked, the three of us, on the HoloLens for Microsoft. So yeah, we have quite a lot of experience, and making games is quite the easy part, and we got enough knowledge to do whatever we want to do. So that helps quite a lot, actually. And but going indie, you have to learn so much more, and that's why it's very interesting. You know, like you gotta learn how to communicate with players, how to market your game, or to talk to publishers and stuff like that. It's very, very interesting.
Well, I for one can't wait to see it in its finished state. And yeah, it looks fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, man.
And there we go.
Hi, Stefan.
Hi, Phil. Welcome back.
Back.
So yeah,
This is a different Stefan from earlier.
it is.
Like,
Yes, I'm slightly older and slightly wiser for having listened to that interview,
Yeah,
which I've already listened to because I was there.
you were there. You were the only one there.
I was. Well, I wasn't, because there was Alex. He was there as well.
He was.
So yes, don't take my word for it, or Phil's. Go and check out Pawarumi. Go and back their Kickstarter. It deserves to be.
Fact.
Yes, it deserves to be made, and awesomeness. So we got one more interview for this episode,
We do.
and it is with a couple of guys from Cavalier Games who have a game coming out in, it's about a week, and it's called the Sexy Brutale.
Wow.
It's kind of hard
Very
to
good.
describe. We've got a review copy come through, but I don't know who's going to cover it. We will see. But it's
Ant should cover it.
yeah, I think he's a bit busy.
Yeah.
But the Sexy Brutale is quite a quirky. It's a murder mystery kind of time travel puzzly kind of a game.
Okay.
Bit hard to describe.
So I wasn't there to give it a go.
You
so
weren't, no.
I'm intrigued to see or hear anything about it more than anything else.
Yes. So here is our interview with Charles Griffiths and Tom Lansdale of Cavalier Games talking about the Sexy Brutale.
Back over to you, Stefan.
Thank you, guys. Handing over. We always we've got this weird joke that we think is funny. Us handing our future selves handing over to our past selves on the podcast, and then saying thanks, guys. Kind of this weird meta kind of thing that we still find amusing after 2 or 3 years of events and stuff. Yes, it's as long as we find it funny, then somebody out there is going to be like, yeah. So yes, sadly no Phil or Ant, but we do have 2 erstwhile replacements with me here and now. So gentlemen, thank you for joining me. If you wouldn't mind telling us who you are, please.
Sure, it seems important, yeah.
Yes.
I'm Charles Griffiths. I'm the design director of Cavalier Game Studios, which is the studio making the Sexy Brutale.
Hi, and I'm Tom Lansdale, the technical director at Cavalier Game Studios, also making the Sexy Brutale.
Thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Now, the Sexy Brutale. I initially didn't know how to pronounce it.
Nobody does.
But what is it exactly?
Well, the Sexy Brutale is the name of a very grand casino mansion set somewhere in England. So it's a place created by a very eccentric English aristocrat or wannabe aristocrat type. And yeah, so that it's where he hosts masked balls and things like that. So that's where the name of the game comes from. That's where the game is set.
So the game itself is, would you describe it as an isometric murder mystery? What's the, that's how I am able to sum it up with my limited capacity at the moment.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you guys can describe it a lot better.
Yeah, I think we can both take a punch at it, and maybe one of us will get something you like, because it's a tricky one. It's always been a tricky one to boil down, something very, very short and snappy, but it is essentially, it's like a 3D puzzle adventure about a masked ball with all these murders happening all across the house, and you need to solve these individual puzzles, figure out how to save the guests, and it's all set on this Groundhog Day. So it's like a time-looping puzzle adventure kind of game.
That's right. I mean, one of the things that doesn't come across readily, but you'll understand fairly quickly when you play it, is that the entire game is happening at the same time. So some puzzle that you might be doing late in the game is already active and happening alongside the puzzles you're doing right at the start, and then when you get to the later puzzle, you'll still be hearing the poor guy at the start getting shot every day at the same time.
That's very cool. I did notice in my playthrough that there were, as the time ticked by, there were various rumblings and noises happening off in the distance, and I did kind of think, is that something I'm supposed to be preventing, or is that something that I have prevented? And it's so the whole entire time frame, it is all happening within it's a 12-hour window, isn't it? It's the initial opening of it, you get a 5-hour, because there's damage to a pocket watch.
But you tapped into what is the most interesting part of it, we think. You know, it's that exact thing. Like you were concentrating on one issue in the house, and then you heard noises of something else happening, and we're like, what is that? And that's that simultaneous thing that Tom was talking about, the idea that all the puzzles in the game, from the first one to the last one, are all happening at the same time. And that's how this, even though it's all happening in 9 minutes of real time, it becomes like an 8-hour experience for you to play through because of the order that you're taking it through. So the thing that, we throw out a lot is Groundhog Day. Imagine the Groundhog Day idea, but all these people across this house being killed every single day on this Groundhog Day, and you're going to save them individually, but kind of work your way through.
Yeah, and I think it's also, it's very exciting for us to sort of feel that early on you have all these questions, but it's a game of exploration, it's a game of understanding. You have these questions about what's that rumble, what's that bell toll, and you will get answers as you explore the mansion and see the various stories that are happening in parallel.
Excellent. It's when the clock and time mechanic was properly introduced, and you've got each of the guests as well as yourself. There are mask elements. It's a masked ball.
Yep.
Am I right? And it gave me the kind of feeling of there is a inspiration. Someone had to have had this Majora's Mask kind of. Never heard of it. Well, it's a Nintendo game, but I had that little kind of glimmer. That had to have been some inspiration somewhere down the line.
The funniest thing with that is that, like, absolutely, Majora's Mask is an inspiration, definitely, because it has the Groundhog Day type loop, which is such an interesting idea, and very few games have kind of dealt with moving characters around on a schedule, and Majora's Mask was a big one for that. So absolutely, it was inspiration on that. And then the weird thing is that the fact that there's masks and stuff involved in Powers Linked Masks, that was less of a link. Like, that is more of a coincidence. The fact that there are masks is just like, well, that's whatever. The fact is we were setting everything in a mask ball. So, of course, there's masks. It's all mask-related stuff. But, was it an inspiration? Definitely. But it was an inspiration purely on the time mechanics rather than the mask thing. The mask thing is just like, yes, well, that came from an entirely separate thing, which was mask ball events that we used to go to here in London. We've always kind of liked the idea. It's very iconic, very interesting visuals, and also immersive theatre productions that we went to that Punch Drunk put on. It also involves masks and things like that, and so that's where the kind of visual mask ball side came of it. But in terms of the time looping mechanics, that was Majora's Mask. Bit of Gregory Horror Show, Tulip, Moon RPG Remix, other, games that kind of played around with that idea.
So, we've mentioned there are masks in the game. It's a masked ball that all the guests and because you play as the Lord.
No, that's one of the guests. So
it's one of the guests. Sorry,
he's called Lafcadio Boone.
Lafcadio Boone.
Quite the name, isn't it? It is. But he's been invited to the ball along with all the other guests, and he alone seems to have a bit more awareness of his situation. So you too have a mask, and your mask is special because early on it's granted a power to sort of protect you from the time loop to some extent, and you're sort of finding out what's going on as Lafcadio Boone to your fellow guests.
So his mask, he was because he wakes up having had his mask touched by a mysterious woman, a mysterious nude woman.
A mysterious
blood-drenched nude woman. Are we able to reveal her identity, or does that play out through
that's part of it. So at the beginning, she's exactly playing that kind of role of, is she helping you? Is she seems to be. So she's kind of a guide type character, but as to who she is part of the story, part of what you're uncovering. So.
And the other masks. So yours is. Helps you to navigate this time loop, as it were, and in order to help the other guests. But each of the other guests, I saved the gentleman whose pocket watch we had, and his mask then granted us the power to command the clocks within the building. How many other masks are we to see within this game, and how do they play into the mechanics?
Yeah, the thing is that the masks aren't the only thing that kind of upgrades the player. Like, there are some permanent items you can get and knowledge that you can get. So it's a combination, like the things that the player gets that act as powers and upgrades. So it's a combination of masks, items, and things they learn. And all of them are kind of related to unlocking more of this day. It's all about giving the player this incredibly dense 9 minutes of content, and then giving them over time all the tools to kind of explore it all and unlock it all. So the powers linked to that kind of idea. You get mask powers that help you see things that you couldn't see before, mask powers that let you hear stuff that you couldn't hear before. So it's all, unlocking more layers to the narrative, as well as some slightly more conventional ones that, just get you further into the house and things like that. So that's what all the powers link back to, just the idea of unlocking more of the house in some way, or unlocking more of the story.
And that's right. I mean, the first character you mentioned was the clockmaker. So when you've unlocked his mask, he fixes your pocket watch, and you could then get the full 9-minute day. And also, you can use the clocks you find around the house as a sort of spawn point. So you can, if you couldn't get across the house fast enough to save someone, you can find a nearer clock, and that allows you to see more of the story from different angles. And it's very important that you're able to sort of get to these people quickly, because you have only got 9 minutes. So yes, he's the very first power you get quite quickly, and then every other guest, their power is related to who they are and their personality.
Okay. So we've mentioned Majora's Mask as a small influence on it, but how does something like the Sexy Brutale, there's something about the name, I quite like saying it Sexy Brutale. It's got quite a grandiose, but it's a grandiose location. It's this big casino, lavish casino. But where does the idea for the Sexy Brutale come from, the actual game itself?
The game is, I mean, the Sexy Brutale and the sort of name and that kind of thing behind it is that the other founder that isn't here at the moment is my brother James. He's the narrative director for the game. It was him that came up with the story and ideas for the marquee and things like that. So it's that's where that stuff comes from. Is the idea that yes, the Sexy Brutale is it's a different kind of name, but it's not set out to just be a weird name to get people to pay attention to the game. It's the idea is that this is what, like you say, it's a glamorous kind of thing, but it's intentional. This is the sort of thing that the Marquis, who is an important character in the game, this is what he would call his casino mansion. This is what, to him it is a kind of English Moulin Rouge, and the Sexy Brutale name is in kind of what he thinks about gambling. It's his view on gambling, the kind of combination of the glamorous side to it and the very, very fickle, potentially devastating parts of it. So that's part of it. The narrative came from there, and it was the game came as a result of kind of taking concepts that we wanted to do about the time loop and having an ensemble cast and having a very, very dense world, and then combining that with, figuring out, which is a lot of what James is doing, is kind of, and all of us trying to figure out how we could turn that into a coherent story, because it is, we think, a pretty different way of doing a story, because you have 9 minutes of a story playing out involving, many different characters all across this house, but that's only one story. The more important story is the story that the player takes on, which is completely different as a result just of the route that they're taking through all this. So it's kind of it's kind of telling two stories at the same time. There is the story of what's actually happening in the house, and then there is the story of what's happening to the player because of the order they're seeing all the events in.
There's a lot of trust in the player as well to go and find that story, and because we can't really control what order, even within a single area, the player will discover the events. They may see the death straight away, or they may see a clue straight away, or they may wander in some side rooms and find some sort of incidental background descriptions of the area that help them understand the world a bit better, and hopefully they'll find all of them in some order, but they're going to have a very different experience based on whether they see things in the optimal order or if they see things in a confusing order. That in some ways is going to be more exciting. So I think that was very much based from our experiences with the punch drunk things, where you were allowed to walk around these theatre productions and wander in and out of scenes and get a very disjointed view of this production, and everyone comes away with a different story of what the production was, and we love that idea of seeing these scenes and going, what does this mean? Why am I walking in on someone sort of talking about this, and why is there a body over here, and what happened here? And then you'll want to come back earlier and try and get the context for it. So that's
the game just kind of came from melding those things together, being like, that's really interesting from a narrative perspective of moving around as it plays around you, but it's not as much a game as we wanted to do something that was, well, how do we kind of really turn that into a game, something with puzzles and gates and mechanics and things like that. And Majora's Mask, to go back to that, it's like, the loop is great and everything, but that game is still sort of underpinned by being fundamentally a Zelda game. So it's like a twist on the Zelda game. Whereas the whole Groundhog Day idea seems interestingly enough to just dedicate an entire game to really, really exploring that and doing it creates opportunities for different puzzles. So it was kind of can we think of all the best puzzles that you could do with this and kind of collect them together? So there's a real kind of desire to mash those things together and try and like solve all the problems with the Groundhog Day idea, because although people like the idea of the Groundhog Day, they don't like the idea of waiting around for lots of things out, and they don't like the idea of remembering loads and loads of stuff. So a lot of it was just, can we take this, this would be a really, really different game, if we can nail all the things about it to make it something that actually anyone can sort of pick up the controller and play and isn't just really niche and impenetrable. So it's kind of, wanting to give ourselves kind of a hard challenge, but something that felt like it would be worth it. Like the purest, hardest form of this idea would be doing the one day, just a few minutes long, and actually turning that into a multi-hour experience. So that's really
It's what we haven't touched upon is the gameplay. It's fantastic. You have the fixed camera in areas. You can look through keyholes, and your line of sight is limited. You can listen for people's footprints, people talking off in other rooms, as well as in order to find prospective murders, prospective victims, or the murderer himself, who, if you get too close to him, he will send you back and starts you back at the restart.
Well, yeah, all the masks that they're wearing, so that part of what is keeping them unaware of the Groundhog Day is the mask that they're wearing. So it's like the curse, the thing controlling the house is kind of controlling the masks as well. So it applies to everyone. That's it. It's not, nobody's against you in that way. Like it's not. There's no difference between the staff and the guests and the good guys and the bad guys. Ultimately, they're all unaware of you, and it's their masks that sort of attack the players.
But the clockmaker mentioned that after I'd saved him, was that the mansion itself, the Sexy Brutale, was fighting back against your effects and you're saving the guests, and I thought that was quite a cool little mechanic, and it actually made me. I was like, I want to know what is going on, and it's this very cool mystery that just presents more and more layers to it. But what we haven't touched upon is there's a level of humour in there as well. So
you can't play a game of Sexy Brutale without having this. You've got to have some humour in there.
But the conversation of when the gentleman who or the murderer is killing the clockmaker, and their kind of this discussion before he actually fires upon him, or when you actually manage to prevent. I won't give too many spoilers away for people to play the beginning, but in how you managed to prevent his death. And then the following conversation when the clockmaker's surprised at how it doesn't feel right that he is actually alive. So was there always the intention of having a humour in there, and where does that layer of humour come from?
Definitely. I mean, I think all credit for that goes to James, Charles' brother and our co-founder, who is the narrative director. We always knew we were going to draw upon his writing talents, because he's been involved in lots of games like Amateur Surgeon, very, very funny. And he would be telling us that humour is very difficult to get right in a game like this, because you don't want to just be throwing out crass one-liners or goofy jokes. It's really hard to get it right. But I think in an environment that's quite dark and heavy, where people are getting killed a lot, there's a lot of opportunity for gallows humour, black humour, and I think we've really sort of done a lot of work to try and make that funny against the backdrop of really quite brutal events.
It's like that's James's style as a writer for a start, and also it's the fact the theme of that juxtaposition runs right through all of it. So in the Sexy Brutale is the juxtaposition between the glamorous and the nasty, and that is the same thing with the darkness and the comedy. It's just it's not a whole bunch of one-liners. It's not just trying to be like, here, let me tell you a joke. It's just treating the very, very dark situations in a slightly silly way, and even the presentation of the game is like that. It's like if you describe what happens, it all sounds extremely really bleak and dark. You know, it's a game where these people get shot and all these terrible things happen to them. But when you see it, it is obviously not being presented in that way. It's kind of the same. It's not the same sense of humour at all, but it's the same thing as South Park, where it's like you can tell you can do something very, very dark and present it in an extremely silly kind of way. So,
but the visuals themselves are really beautiful to look at, very crisp, and has a very unique style to it. And this sound actually plays in very well with what is going on and off the screen.
Yeah.
Was it always the idea to have layers of depth within these sounds? So you have like, I'll walk into one room and I can hear the casino and I can hear muffled voices in the other. If you're using the listening ability, it'll pinpoint kind of whereabouts you should be heading. Is that in order to aid the player in making their way through the 9-minute cycle?
Because part of that was just capitalising on the nature of what we'd done. Once we'd set about, okay, we're going to do the one Groundhog Day, 9-minute thing, there are certain advantages of that, and one of the huge ones was that we could say to the composers of the music, Lowrider in London, you guys can score it like a movie. So, everything is so orchestrated, everything is so synchronized that they could actually, all around the house, have different soundtracks, and those soundtracks do end up then assisting the player, because you can hear the music lift up and start to do interesting things, or it's building towards a moment of drama, and then it does act like, if you start hearing that kind of music, something's going on around you. If you're stood in an empty room, well, I'm probably in the wrong room at the moment, something's going on somewhere. So yeah, it's like a double whammy of the fact that the music could be really, really great and really, really synced to what's going on, and then also the added benefit is then that also helps the player.
I think on top of that, it can help you realise you're missing something, but once you know what that something is, it can help you feel the events around you. You talked about listening out and hearing the voices. It's very easy in this game to not know where to go. We found early on, and we need to sort of work out ways to let the player find the action. So you can listen out and hear voices talking in the rooms around you. You can hear the footsteps, and then you can spy on the rooms. But also, if you've seen someone die and you notice a dramatic music swell, while you're walking around that same area, you hear that swell, you go, oh, yeah, that's that person dying. And you get this real sense of sort of like intimacy with the areas and with the stories, because it's like perhaps being backstage in a theatre and the production you're in, you can hear the people delivering the lines on the other side of the curtain, you know what they're doing because you've seen it in rehearsals, but you're not there. You don't need to be there to know what they're doing.
It does all come together really nicely. I found myself tapping my foot there. I think there's there's main sort of theme for the Sexy Brutale itself. And I don't mean the game, I mean the actual casino. And I actually found myself tapping my foot as I was playing through, whilst then distracted by the shattering of a big stained glass window that overlooked some sort of a wooded area, and that was another murder, and I was like, right, hang on a minute, I don't quite know what's happened there, but then there's a guy over here playing blackjack, and I can hear the music over there, but I've got the shattering of the glass over here, and for a first try, stood in the middle of the hall surrounded by people, was a little bit overwhelming, and I'm looking forward to actually being able to sit down and piece together the elements of the game that it comes that presents itself in my playthrough. Gentlemen, is there anything else you would like to add that I have neglected to...
I think it's coming off from what you were saying there, exactly like if the most exciting thing in some ways is like dump people in the middle of the house and go, hey, look, this is the whole point of the game, is all these characters moving around you. But it is kind of overwhelming, So what I hope is that, the first section where you are more contained and the time is limited to 5 p.m, so you only have a smaller chunk of the day and you're, kind of boxed off in the chapel area. Hopefully that, helps people understand, right, this is how it works, these are, how you save a victim, etc., without unlocking too much too soon. And then also although you are free to explore and move around and start doing parts of other people's puzzles, we've also tried to give it, a very clear spine to the game by saying, there is an order that you save the victims in. So when you went into the casino and you had that kind of vision of the characters, that's kind of the go signal to say, okay, you can do other things, but this is sort of your main objective. Yeah. So you can start to, compartmentalize a little bit to hopefully take off something, because otherwise, it can be a bit like, well, there's just all these things going, I want to find out what that is, and that is, and that is, and that is, and it can get kind of big.
Just to add to that, once you're in an area as well, it can be very confusing. There is a map we've added in there that you can sort of use to scrub backwards and forwards, and everyone you've ever seen will be on that map at times and places you've seen them, which we sort of, it was one of the very first things we did actually, and I think that's quite unique and quite exciting, but also very useful for the player, because if you go, I don't really know what to do next, it's like, I've seen all these things, they're very confusing, you can have a look at your map, and you can see where perhaps someone's trail disappeared, and go, well, I don't know what they do next, I'll go and follow them, I'll go and see what they do. And as you build up the picture of the map and build up the picture of everyone's day, you'll also be learning yourself what's happening, and you'll have a better idea what to do next. So hopefully it all sort of guides the player in a way that feels very natural.
Exactly like you say, the idea that the mystery is, why is this house fighting back? Why is this happening? I want to find out what's going on there. That is key, and hopefully that is a big thing, because that's so important for people to understand that ultimately you can't save these people unless you can stop this day looping. So you can save the victims, and that's the whole way the whole game works. So save the victim once, get something permanent out of it that's going to allow you to find and help the next victim. But you can't say, the next time the day loops, they go back to being killed. And that, that's the key thing. It's like, that's how we're able to make it so choreographed, is the fact that you really, you can get things out of this day. You can change yourself. You can get upgrades. You can get items. You can get powers. But these people are doomed until you have stopped this day from looping. And that is the ultimate quest of it.
Fantastic. Well, I loved my time with it, and I can't wait to get back and check it out and get our review all together, because I think it's going to be pretty positive from the short time that I've had here.
In that case, I look forward to reading it.
Yes. You've not read one of my reviews before, then that sense of dread is not there yet. But the game is due out. We are looking at the 11th.
Yeah.
Yes, and we've got it. You've got it on Xbox One here, but it's on other systems, I believe.
That's right. It's out on digitally on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Steam and GOG. And then we're also going to be having physical release on PlayStation 4 later in the month.
Ooh, fantastic! Well, people, I urge you to go and check it out when it hits the system of your choice. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having us.
So there we go.
That was Sexy Brutal.
No. It's the Sexy Brutale.
Wow.
Because
I wasn't there. I was not there.
You weren't there. It was
I don't know.
because the Sexy Brutale is the name of the casino.
Oh, okay.
In the game, but it's also the name of the game. So yes, yeah, I really enjoyed my. I think it was the full build that they had. So I could have, if I wanted to, I could have stood there all day and played it.
But you didn't.
I didn't, because there was other stuff that I wanted to play.
There was a lot of other stuff.
There was lots of other stuff.
Which I think we've saved for another episode, haven't we?
We do. That is just 4 interviews of 19.
So people, get yourselves ready.
Yeah, lots more to come. We're going to be picking and choosing some of our favourites. From all of them. Yeah, we've got some really good stuff lined up, and I for one enjoyed it. I actually spoke to I bumped into the guys from the Mature Gamer podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, how you guys doing? You enjoying it?" And they were like, "Yeah, it's 11 o'clock and we've kind of seen everything we want to see." I was like, "What?" But they did comment. They were like, "Oh, a lot of the stuff is here that was here last year," and
yeah.
So I can kind of understand that, but from my perspective, I would have just gone and checked out some of the more newer stuff.
Yeah.
But it depends on what you go to the event for.
Like, we go for interviews.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, as much as I was stressing about it and nervous, I really just chatting to people, and on the Saturday I was walking around and I saw people who we'd chatted to and others, and I was just like, hey, how you doing? And yeah, I really enjoyed that part. So
Loving life. some would
yes,
say.
indeed.
Loving life with the black band of press.
Indeed, yeah. You still got yours on?
I have, yeah.
I took mine off on the Saturday when I got back because it was kind of it had been doing my head in on Saturday. So
See, I like to keep it on just to prove a point.
people are like, oh, what's that around your wrist? Oh, you mean my press pass for the games event I was at?
Yeah. Do you not know that I'm press? Do you not know that I'm important?
It is quite nice, isn't it?
It is, yeah. That feeling of a little bit of importance.
Yeah. No matter
For once in my life.
no matter how slight.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I think that will wrap it up for this episode.
It should do.
I think. Go on.
Don't forget, we've got more episodes coming soon.
We do.
Probably very soon.
Yes, hopefully, because we have got some. We've got lots of interviews to
give you.
Yes. So yeah, I've been High Definition.
And I've been Monkey Man Phil.
Check us out, noahsarcadeuk.com. You'll find us on Facebook. You'll find us on Twitter and YouTube. YouTube. I've done so much talking this weekend.
Yeah, it's just been a hell of a talk-off.
It has, but enjoyable nonetheless.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. We've got to play games that aren't out, maybe are out, but yeah, we're good.
Oh, yes.
We don't get to do that every week.
No, not at all, mate. Not at all.
Not at all.
Well,
we might be able to do it at EGX, you don't know.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, one hopes.
Yes. Okay, folks. Well, we'll see you again soon.
See you soon.
Bye!